I've got a series of questions to ask you. So let's pull up a chair and engage in a meaningful conversation. First and foremost, do you know how to live a balanced life? Do you excite at the possibility of embracing your passions? And are you willing to absorb knowledge and information from other sources in order for you to live a wholehearted life? Do you think you may need some assistance in this journey? If you answered yes to any of those series of questions, then Jacob Craig ought to be someone in your Rolodex of contacts who you want to get in touch with right away. Sure, his day job as a construction manager and civil engineer really gets him excited, but if you ask him what really gets him invigorated, it's his research and his writings. You see, over the last few years, he's been researching inspiring leaders such as Kelly Starrett, Jocko Wilkins, and Eric Thomas, all in an effort to help others succeed in their self-improvement journey as he embarks on his own. He wrote a book entitled Inspiring Leaders in Health and Fitness, The Ultimate Guide to a Better You, where he shares all of his research in an attempt to inspire. He joined me this week to talk about his blog, his research, and so much more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. I can't think of a better way to end the week than chatting with you, so I appreciate you accepting the invitation.
Well, same here. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jacob, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to learn all about your self-improvement journey. Great to see you today, and thank you so much for being here.
Great to see you too, Kevin. Thank you for having me. It's great to see you.
Hey, Jacob, I don't know if you knew this, but March is International Women's History Month. So I'll start today's conversation by asking you to detail what the women in your life mean to you and how important you think the impact women have had on all of us has been.
Well, I definitely can't overstate how much women have done for me. You know, from my mom to my grandmother, my great grandmother, and just women in general. I've always had a great respect for women, and my like I said, my family members have definitely been examples of that. Being able to have a relationship with my great grandmother, she was very religious and very into making sure she's staying healthy, and so she was able to live a long life and form a relationship with all of us. And so it was definitely made a great impact on my life, and you can say it has some influence on what got me into part of what got me into health and fitness as well, and taking care of myself better. So absolutely.
Well, it's always good to have inspirations in life, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm all about, studying people who inspire me and who I want to learn from more.
Absolutely. And let's dive into it now, Jacob. I know that you're really intent on studying people that inspire you. So I'm wondering if you could share a little bit of your self-improvement journey and how that's going for you.
Absolutely. It's tough to just to share a little because there's so much. But I'll basically break it down in the few ways that I go about doing it. So A few years ago, I started my personal blog, which is 12 Paths. I decided, and this is kind of jumping ahead. If I, it's a long story if I jump back, but essentially it's a long ladder of people that, I started following based on motivation that led me into just finding all these amazing resources through podcasts and things like that. So I just wanted to learn more. And, I figured if I wrote it down as well as, if I share it with other people, maybe it'll inspire them to also want to study more inspiring people. And, it might influence their health, fitness, learn more about motivation and success as well. So I really, just grabbed it by the tail and, tried to find people who inspire me. So I share the information that I learned through my blog, 12 Paths, and I, also share there how they've influenced me and what I'm currently doing for my nutrition and fitness programs, and, also motivation, success things too. I do book reviews and things like that on there as well. And then the second thing, it led to a book. So I called it 12 Paths, my blog, because I wanted to write about 12 individuals in the space of health and fitness. I found, there's so many people, so I want to get a good background from physical therapists to nutritionists to strength and conditioning coaches. And so I figured I'll focus on 12 individuals, write on all of them, and share what they have to say and all the tips and tricks. But that ended up being a lot. So I am about to release my first book. It actually releases on Tuesday, March 30th. So I'm very, very excited to release that. And so I've built my website, Inspiring Leaders Collective, where that's mainly my book series website. So my plan, and it's going to be, a long, likely 10-year plan of focusing on different individuals going all over self-improvement. So this first book I've created is all individuals on health and fitness. So there's 6 individuals on health and fitness, their backgrounds, how they developed the platform that they have, and then all their tips and tricks that they give as well from studying them for months at a time. So my plan is I release this book, and then I'm going to focus more on motivation and success. So then I'll have a book where it's 6 individuals in motivation and success. And then you see I wrote here volume 1. So I'll do another 6 individuals eventually, and that'll be volume 2. So it's still going to be 12 individuals, but it just takes so much time that I need to spread it out like this. Like I said, to do 12 for motivation and success, to do 12 for health and fitness, it'll probably take it 10 years to write those 4 novels. So that's the bulk. I won't go in too far because I know that's a lot right there. So I'll stop myself right there.
You're a busy guy, and I have to tell you, as a journalist and a former writer myself, I'm always writing still, and I want to commend you for the level of commitment and dedication you've put into your craft. I had a look at your blog, and you're off to a fast and good start. So congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and it's definitely a lot of work. It's a long process, just outside of writing, even just publishing and all that. So it's definitely I'm happy to hear you see it as a fast process. It's definitely slow moving for me, but I want to make sure I give the best information that I can, and give the I do want to try and influence people as much as possible so that, maybe it can get somebody started on their self-improvement journey. I figure if it can impact one person and really get them started and influence their lives in the way it's influenced me, it's all worth it.
Hey, Jacob, I tell people that chopping the wood of life never stops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to improve every day. So that's what it's all about. And
Absolutely, buddy. And I'm also curious to ask you, what is your greatest motivation in life? What gets you most excited to get out of bed in the morning?
I've always tried to have this attitude. I can't say every day I feel like this, but it's important to have the perspective that just every day is a blessing. We all have the gift of life, and it's important to take advantage of every day. And whether that's, taking advantage of where you are in your career, trying to develop yourself professionally, or that's improving your relationships. Obviously, people are absolutely the most important things in our lives. So the time we spend with our friends, family, we need to make sure we're cherishing that, and also just making sure we live our day the best we can. So I just want to say, going into life with the attitude of each day is a blessing, and I want to make the most out of every day. That's just all I have to say.
Absolutely, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on the dedication and compassion you think people have to have if they're really dedicated to something in life. Obviously, your blog is all about personal and professional motivation. So I'm wondering if you could provide some inspiration or tips for people to sort of stay disciplined but also excited and motivated as well.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, this is going to sound cliche, but you really need to make goals for yourself. If you want to advance, you want to make progress, and you want to be dedicated, nobody's going to get you there but yourself. You're going to have to end up putting in the work. And, if you're not sure, what you're doing, and you're just kind of taking life as it goes, that's really not the way to live. It's much better to, and I know some people will say it's not, but, they don't want to over plan and calculate their life and things like that. And that's not what I'm talking about at all, but just have an idea of where you want to be in 5 years. And like I said, if whether it's your relationships, your career, you should look at those areas of your life and set your goals. I, for one, like to follow Warren Buffett's method, which I've actually learned it's passed down a lot, talked by experts a lot in the motivation space. And I actually found it through Mike Matthews, who's a strength and conditioning coach, but also James Clear. He's another expert that's widely known who's in the motivation success space, who talks about improving your habits, like kicking the bad habits out of your life and developing good ones. So basically what this method is, and just I'll break it down short and sweet for you. And if people have questions, they can always reach out to me. So this is the Warren Buffett's 2-list method, he calls it. So you look at the 5 areas of your life. And it's tough to name that right off the bat. It's education, relationships, career, health and fitness, and lifestyle. There we go. So you look at those 5 areas and you try to think of, well, do your best to think of 25 goals that you have. And they should always start with I will. So just to set the mindset of I'm going to do this. And then they should always end with a timestamp. I like to do mine annually, and some of my goals are a little different. They might adjust halfway through the year, and I kind of keep that in focus. So you write 25 goals out. It doesn't have to be 5 in each category, but then you break it down into the 5 goals that are most important to you. And how Mike Matthews puts it, he says you only have so many burners on the stove when you're cooking. If you have, if you're trying to use 2 stoves and you're trying to use 6, 7 burners at the same time, you're gonna burn something, and you're just not gonna, you're gonna miss gaps here and there. If you're trying to set goals for yourself, you're gonna overlook a lot of things, and so you need to focus on a certain number of things. And so Warren Buffett says to, pick those 5. That's going to be your second list. Throw out the first list, those 25. Just focus on those 5 goals. And then I always keep the book I'm reading currently around with me. So right now I'm reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Fantastic book. He's also a motivational speaker, ex-Navy SEAL. So in that book, I always keep a copy. Well, I write down my goals and keep it in that book. So each morning I make sure to read my goals to myself so that they're at the top of my mind. So yeah, that's a great way people can start to get thinking about how they can improve their lives and get motivated to start moving forward.
And Jacob, I know that nutrition and health and fitness is a big part of your life. So I'm wondering if you can dive just a little bit deeper into your personal life and tell me why was it so important for you to uh, take better control or sharper control of your health and
A-
fitness journey?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I was just at a point where I was like, I got to figure something out because I went all through middle school, high school. Like most of us, we really don't. It doesn't. There are exceptions, but for me, I was able to maintain 140, 150 pounds, and I'm a small guy. So once I got into college and a few years into college, I started creeping up higher and higher, 160, 170, and then a few years ago, I was nearing 200, and I was like, I got to do something. So I decided, and I was working out on my own, but I was like, it really wasn't showing me any progress. So I wanted to make sure I was seeing progress. So I decided, and influenced by motivational speakers, like I would listen to Eric Thomas, I would listen to Jocko Willink, and they really, push health and fitness. Eric Thomas, I don't know if you know, he's a large motivational speaker who started with YouTube, or I'm not sure if he started there, but got, grew through YouTube. Um, who's a huge motivational speaker now, debatably just as big as Tony Robbins. So yeah, that kind of led me into studying experts in the field of health and fitness, getting to know people who inspire me, who I trusted would give me good information on both diet and exercise. And so that's what really got me into finding a diet and exercise plan that works for me. And like I said, through my book, I try to share it so that people can find one that also works for them.
Yeah, and David, okay, for Jacob, tell me, I know for me, when I write the things down, I go through a bit of a journey as the words hit the paper or the computer screen. So tell me about owning your words in the sense of going through the story and making sure that the passion that you feel gets out on the paper.
It's tough to do that because I do my best to stay unbiased. So I don't want to be praising these people as I write about them. I simply want to write a biography so you get to really know them and form an opinion on yourself on your own so that when you're reading the book, I don't want you to take away all six experts and say, "Oh, they all speak to me. They all inspire me. So I'm going to follow all six of them." They all have so much content that's not even possible. So if people come away from reading the book and take away one or two that really speak to them and that they want to follow and take information from and maybe take a few tips from each expert, that's all, that's the most I can ask for because like I said, there's just so much content. And so I did my best not to um, give my opinion on these experts as I write about them. Obviously, as I learn more and more and I'm, soaked in them for months learning from them, I do get very inspired by them. And I'm sure it does show. And so it's difficult to say with a biography. I try not to do that. I try not to influence my opinion on others. So
Well, I'm going to ask you to give your opinion in my next question. I'm also in the sense curious to get your thoughts on the most impactful or profound lesson that you sort of learned through your studies and you tried to impact in your personal life as well.
yeah, so I think um, now, if you're talking about most impactful lessons in my life in general, it would have to be something my dad told me growing up was that you can't let money get in the way of experiences. And I would say also time. You shouldn't let time or money worry about you, have you with doubts on uh, goals you want to reach or things you want to do, places you want to travel. Because life is short. You should live life to the fullest, really, and embrace it. So that's really the main thing about a big life lesson that I've learned that I think is one of the biggest. If you're asking me through the people I've read what I've learned the most, I would say just through all of them, it's really incredible to look at these inspiring people, and if you break them down, you realize you can look at how successful they are now, and they've influenced millions of people, and so their program must work. So I just want to know their program. I'm not like that. I want to know about these people, and it's very interesting because you really get to know them on a personal level by listening to their podcasts and the amount of content that they give. And the inspiring thing about that is that these are just people who are very passionate, who work very hard. And so the inspiration through that is if you're willing to, and you have the passion for it, if you're willing to put in the work, then you can get anywhere you want to be in life. And that's just an amazing, amazing thing. And the fact that these people are continuing to work hard when they've reached a high level of success shows that it never ends. And but you should see that as an inspiring thing that fuels you. And I think that's why self-improvement, this whole it is a movement that's going on. If you look at all the podcasts through um, you know Tim Ferriss, and people like him are just motivating. And Joe Rogan, if you look at the self-improvement people he has on, it's really a movement that's gotten started. And what's so great about it is you realize that to be truly happy is just to be improving yourself day by day. And whether it's your relationships and with the people you have in life, or finding your own successes, but continuing to work hard. You can't really ever reach a point and just be like, oh, I'm satisfied, there's nothing else for me. You always have to keep improving and work on getting better. So
Absolutely. And I'm curious, Jacob, to also ask you, what's your definition of self improvement if you had to give it a definition?
self-improvement, like I think it's tough to break down in a definition, and I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself because um, I've scatteredly said it through this interview, but if I had to break it down into one sentence, it's improving yourself daily. So focusing on areas of your life where you can improve, in all areas of your life, in your lifestyle, your relationships, your career, and just working on that every day.
I'm also curious to ask you about this. I know you have a background as an engineer and a construction manager. See, I did my research.
Yeah, you did. A lot of people don't.
So I'm curious to ask you, do you think we get more people interested in STEM careers and get them passionate about building things and science and engineering as a whole?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when people hear this, they're probably like, "Wait, wait, wait, wait." Like, so yes, this writing, what I'm doing on the side, is just a side passion of mine. I really haven't made any money from it. Obviously, hopefully with this book, I can get it out there and people will learn from me, and I can keep writing through that. But I am, my as a career, I am a construction manager and civil engineer, which, if people don't know, basically the construction managers are on site with the contractor, making sure things are built according to plans and specifications that are set up by municipalities. Um, and also, uh, being a civil engineer, you're designing those projects and getting those plans made. So being able to see both sides of it is really an advantage that I have, and I love both sides of it, and having that variety. And it's working with people versus working on AutoCAD. So let me get into your question. I'm sorry, I just wanted to explain that to people. A lot of people don't know what a civil engineer does, and that's the problem. I think is just the best way we can get people into STEM careers is by educating them more. If you know, and it's same thing with contracting. If you want to, we absolutely need more people to be in the trades, and the stigma that's built around that is it's just false. The amazing people that I've met working in construction, um, day by day, and the amount of hard work that they do, and the way I see that hard work pay off as well. It's a very important job. It's very valuable, and you can bring it wherever you go. And you can say the same thing for engineering as well. So if we could just educate more on that fact, and it's I think it's true that college isn't really for everybody. So it's important to also look at the trades, and I think that's something that lacks in schools is the education on different trades you can get into, and really pushing that education would be a great profound way we can improve our schooling system. And I don't want to just say that. It's tough for me to do that because I always see people pushing the education system, especially in America, and say, when am I going to use this math stuff? And I think it's mostly just people complaining. I really think that the education system that we have makes sure that whatever you're passionate about, whatever you want to get a bachelor's degree in, or even if you don't get whatever level you want to get to, it makes sure that you're willing to put in the work to get there. I don't see myself as a super smart guy because I'm an engineer. I just feel like I put in the work, and I know people are going to fight me on that, but I think it does test that you're passionate and willing to put in the work. And obviously some people need to work harder than others, and it's just not an even playing field, and it's just how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And never apologize for giving a journalist more information. Jacob, the more information I have, the happier I am. So,
Good.
yeah. And I'm also curious to ask you about the writing process and getting the book out, because I know getting a book published is a lot of work. So I'm curious if you would be willing to share how that process went for you, and how I know you had mentioned earlier how excited you are to get the book out there, but talk about the process of writing it and going through the machinations of that as well.
Yeah, so there's so much I could talk about this for a full podcast. It's there's so much to it. One thing I really have to say, my biggest piece of advice or thing to say about the self-publishing process. So I decided not to go through traditional publishing because I've seen people go through that process, and it just seems very stressful, very overwhelming. And so reading into it and seeing that there are other ways, and there's ways to self-publish, and figuring out the best ways to do that. It's important to educate yourself on the process, and you can easily go on Amazon and find books, or go to your local bookstore and find books on self-publishing, and learn from different people who are successful in it. So I had a few books that I learned from, but something I really learned about the self-publishing process is it's deceiving. You need a team. It's not just all about you. For a book to really be the best possible book, you need to hire people to help you with things. A lot of authors I feel, make the mistake of designing their own book cover and just doing self-editing. And it's important if you do want to get. I understand that not everybody has the means to do it, but you'd be surprised if you look at websites like Fiverr or Upwork. Um, those are websites where you can hire freelancers that help you with things like graphic design or editing or things like that. And I used a lot of different resources. I didn't just use Fiverr and Upwork. I used a special company that just did that professionally does book covers, and also for the interior formatting, because I wanted a, you know, the best book that I could possibly um, produce. And that's the where the bulk of my money in the self-publishing process went to, because that's the first thing people are going to see when they look at your book is the cover. And they might take a glimpse inside as well. I obviously want people to um, be able to read the whole book and flow through it, and the interior formatting is very crucial for that. So it's important to know your strengths and know what you need help on. I do feel very comfortable with my writing, so I could have taken it a step further and spent a lot of money on editing, and I think it definitely would uh, be worth it for most people as well to spend more than I did. But I don't want to say that, because I can tell you I did. I think I did a fantastic job, and my editor also. I did have an editor. It's not like I just did it myself. But I'm just saying, it's you get out of it what you put in, and it really does take a team. And you also look for support. And I can get, like I said, I could talk a full podcast on all the process of self-publishing. But
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I'm going to ask your input on something that I had to come to grips with myself. I was in a job recently where I immersed myself in a job, and I didn't really I put all of my energy into this one particular job, and I felt like I sort of lost myself in the process in terms of passions and direction and things that make me full-heartedly happy in life. So the question is, Jacob, how important do you think finding your passion in writing is to helping you sort of balance out your day job as a construction manager and engineer?
it's tough to say. They're well, actually, what's great about it is their worlds different. I've always had a little bit of a creative side. I've always liked things like graphic design, and growing up, I really liked reading as well. And I noticed as I was going through college, my writing was getting better and better. And so I just put those tools to the test. And I think what a big thing that influenced me is coming out of college. You know, when you're in college, you don't have time really for anything. Your studies take up so much, but once you're out of it, I figure with my job, I work 40 hours a week, but then, what do I do? And there's things I could always be working on, things I could always be improving. So I decided to take that time and, get to know the skills that I have, and, use those skills. So.
Absolutely. And I'm also, I'm extending this because I'm also curious to ask you about the importance of guys becoming more emotionally available. And what I mean by that is not becoming emotionally sappy, but being open to expressing their feelings and being vulnerable. I'm wondering your thoughts on the importance of a positive self expression as it relates to males.
I think it's important no matter who you are. And I think, males kind of need to get away from, uh, you know, holding in their emotions. I don't think it's good for anybody to do that. The best men that I know personally are the people who can dig deep and have deep conversations with you. Um, like, for instance, my uncle Mike, he passed away a year or so ago, but he was always willing to, you know, check in with you and have those deep conversations with you. And one of the last things that he told me, it might be it was the last conversation I really had with him, was he told me that the Indians had it right, that having your family close by, having that tribe, is absolutely crucial. And I've always had that thought as well, that people, like I said, people are absolutely the most important thing in your life. So having those deep conversations and being able to express emotions, I think no matter who you are, is absolutely just fundamental to life.
Absolutely. And I'm curious to want to have a little bit of fun with you, Jacob. So, what are three things you think people would be most interested to discover about you, buddy?
About me?
About you. It's all about you, buddy.
um it's tough to say. It's tough to say. I really love disc golf as well. It's just a passion of mine. If people want to know what I do on the side, what gives me a release, what I like to just go do on my free time. I love to spend time with my girlfriend, Taylor, and my dog as well. You might be able to. Oh, he's napping right there. He's that little black spot. So yeah, I love just going out, and it's a great way to visit new places and check out new parks. And I have definitely a passion for dogs as well. Just can't overstate how much they've played a role in my life. I've always had dogs growing up, and having them as a companion by your side is an amazing thing. So I'm very passionate about dogs. I love disc golf. And the other things would really just be what I've been talking about already with, I think, between civil engineering and construction management. Like I said, I think there really is a lack of education on engineering. And the great thing about civil engineering in general, if people want to learn about that, is there's so many different avenues. No matter what type of person you are, you can really find your space. So you can either go into the contracting world and work, hands-on with people and equipment. You can go into the construction management world, which is, overseeing them and, having oversight as to what's going to happen, looking at things like scheduling. So you're involved with the contractors and also involved with the client. So you're still working with people, but it's a very challenging job. Um, and then if you're an engineer, you're working with some people, you have a close team, but you're working with AutoCAD mainly, so you're doing work on computers. So whether you're an office person or you want to be out in the field working with people, it's just a great field for people to go into where they can choose. And there's so many different avenues. If you're electrical or mechanical as well, there's you know people don't realize the flexibility and the opportunities that you can have and the different places you can work. And there's so much need for it that I can really go anywhere. I know I went off on a tangent, but I really just
No,
wanted to.
that's what a, any good podcast I listen to, Jacob, is all about a long form discussion and providing great information. So don't feel that you've went off on any sort of rant there. I think that more people have to embrace STEM careers because, as you said earlier in our conversation, college isn't really for everybody, and people maybe a on the job learner where they work better, where they see things done, and they go out and implement it. So I think STEM careers is a lost opportunity for those that don't explore it for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people are listening to this and they want help with, I love helping people with things like interviews and things like that. And I've had people reach out to me asking for advice as they're going into interviews. And people who are younger as well asking me about career choice as well. So if people are listening to this and they want to chat with me, they can easily find me through my websites, um, or they can email me directly. I In my book as well as my websites, I give out my personal email. So if people ever want to reach me, they can. And I like I said, I really do love any way I can help somebody with a career. That's obviously a huge impact, huge positive way for me to help if I can be of any assistance. So
Yeah, Jacob, I live my life by saying that life is a constant game of connection, and we all have to be a sponge of information. I think the more people you can surround yourself with that have a wealth of information on a variety of topics is always a good thing. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious to ask you about your girlfriend. I know doing your research, doing my research on you, that she plays a big part in your life, and I'm wondering how you've strengthened your relationship over the last year because of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, we've definitely been able to spend more time together, with all the negative things that COVID has brought. It's definitely, it's opened my flexibility of working from home, being able to spend more time with Oliver, and also that's my dog, as well as my girlfriend Taylor. And she's absolutely been a huge impact on my life. She's definitely uh, my rock, and it's amazing to be able to spend more time with her. And it's tough, especially with the writing, the publishing process. She's supported me a lot and let me, outside of my work, obviously that would be I'm saying outside of my work as a civil engineer, construction manager, obviously that would be my time with her and Oliver. So the fact that she allows me to pursue my passions and work on my own projects, I can't, thank her enough for allowing me to do that. And, um, I'm very happy to be able to spend more time with her. And yeah, so there's definitely a positive there as well.
Absolutely. How long have you been dating, bud?
Almost 6 years.
Almost. And you're not married yet?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
Is
I
there?
still feel like we're young, and I don't, you know, I feel like putting,
Oh, I'm on Team K, and she wants to get married. I'm sure, right?
yeah, yeah. Eventually, I just, like I said, it's, I don't know, to put the money into a wedding, and to add that piece of paper, and that, and it's a big commitment too. We're still living, it's like I said, I feel like we're young, and with how many, uh, we both, just want to make sure that we're ready, and just taking our time.
I got you. Get a dot your I's and cross your T's. But so I'll give you a quick story. One of my personal support workers, because as you know, I have cerebral palsy.
Yep.
He dated his girlfriend for 10 and a half years before he finally asked her to marry her or him. So you got a little bit of time to catch up to him, but I'm on Team Taylor. If you
Yeah.
want help to get a wedding planner, hit me up. Up, I know a couple. Okay, now.
Okay.
Uh,
Interesting. Yeah, I'm always, whenever I say it, I'm always grilled, so I'm used to it.
and 6 years is a long time to wait to do anything. So I can
Yeah.
imagine, but I should tell you, I don't know how much of a Netflix guy you are, but there's a new series on Netflix called Marriage or Mortgage, and the premise of the show is that they follow engaged couples, and they have to make a decision on whether to buy a house or to get married. So you and Taylor might find that to be interesting
Okay.
if you needed something on a date night to watch, buddy.
Sounds interesting. Sounds interesting. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And my final question for you is, I'm wondering if you've given any thought to your personal legacy, Jacob, and how you want to be defined once your life has come to its conclusion.
Um, that's tough to say. How I want to be defined. when my life comes to a conclusion is that people see that I did try to live life to the fullest. I don't see myself as, an important figure or anything like that. I'm just a person. And I've still got a ton of work ahead of me. Still a lot of things I'm going to accomplish. And I can't look where I'm going to be in 5 years and know. It's always going to be different. You can't guess that. I wouldn't have guessed 5 years ago that I'm here, doing what I'm doing now. But the fact that, that's life, and being able to, like I said, live life to the fullest. I just want people to realize that, that's what I want to live by. I want to make sure that I'm happy as possible, as well as, try to develop as many relationships or positive relationships as I can through life.
Absolutely, and I have to tell you that I always tell people that never to be afraid to express themselves, because as we all have strengths and weaknesses that somebody else doesn't have, right? So it's always important to contribute to the world, because you never know who's listening or watching, and who you may be able to help. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. You said that was your last question. Can I wanted to add something in. Could I
Yeah,
bring up
yeah,
a?
no problem. Just before that, I'm gonna ask you if anybody wants to get connected with you. What's the best way they can do that, bud?
Yeah. So I have my website. I have my personal blog, 12 Paths, but I honestly don't really. I've been working so much on the book series website, which is inspiringleaderscollective.com. And so you can find me there, my contact information. And then where I'm most present, other than that, is through Facebook. If you do facebook.com/inspiring leaders collective, or just search at Inspiring Leaders Collective in Facebook, you'll find me. Um, and so I live stream every morning. So I'll live stream my morning routine with people. I was following a book called The Daily Stoic, where it's 365 days of an inspirational quote from a Stoic philosopher, and then a little reflection on that. I decided, after about a year and a half of that and falling off the wagon a little bit, I wanted to do a twist on that. So I share my morning routine with people, where we have a different quote for every day, and we discuss the quote, reflect on it, and people can also use it as just a space to come in, say good morning to everybody else in the chat, as well. And so I also say something that I'm grateful for every day, and encourage people to do that as well. So really just trying to help people develop a morning routine. And it also relates to what I do, because we usually talk about the person behind the quote. Usually it's somebody very inspiring, someone we can talk about, and learn more about as well. So it helps me educate myself, as well as make sure I get up earlier, and it helps, I'm hoping to help people as well with their morning routines, and it's slowly but surely developing. So.
Absolutely. And was there anything else you wanted to leave us with before we ended today's conversation?
So I wanted to commend you, Kevin, for what you do. I think the fact that you try to motivate others, and the strength that you show and the motivation you show, you never know who you're going to impact and the level that you're going to impact them. And I'll just say that there's amazing movies that have touched me, like Murder Ball. I don't know if you've watched Murder Ball. That is the Special Olympics rugby team. There's a documentary on them, and the fact, it shows how they've either lost their legs in car accidents, and they show them going through the process of learning to walk again, or how they cope with it, and getting hooked on um, you know the drugs they're on as they're going through the process as well, or they were born with polio, and working through that, the strength that they show and the inspiration that they have, Again, that's Murderball. If you just go on YouTube, you can watch the full film. That's always going to be one of my favorite films. And that paired with, I watched, we had an inspirational speaker that came in my last year of college, and that's really what sparked me into, one of the questions I asked as he was leaving was, where can I learn more? Are there other motivational speakers that you follow that I can also check out, because I'm so inspired? And what this inspirational speaker was a coach who worked with a boy with mental disability, who he gave a chance when he was playing a basketball game to go out there. He ended up shooting 6 3-point shots out of 12 shots, but just an incredible story, and the power that had on the kid's life. And it sparked, something in me to want to follow people in the motivational space. But at the end, I want to say that just, it's amazing what you're doing. And like I said, you're never going to know the level of impact and the people that you'll impact. So thank you for what you do, Kevin.
Well, I want to thank you for those kind words, Jacob, and it's certainly my mission in life to inspire and impact as many people as I can. I appreciate those kind words, and I want to thank you for your time today and sharing your personal journey of self-improvement and your views on the value of human connect. And really enjoyed our wide-ranging discussion. I want to thank you for taking my questions and for being here this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Hey, absolutely. It's you ask some wonderful questions, and I'm really happy to be on here and talking to you. If you ever want to catch up again and talk again, I'm happy to talk to you. I thought this conversation went really well, and it was really nice to learn more about you and talk to you as well. So.
Well, Jacob, I've got to stay in contact with you so that I can remain on Team Taylor, so she can get your last name permanently. But so you're stuck with me for a while. So.
Oh boy, yeah, you already got my. I think we're already following each other on Twitter, so I'm sure you'll find Taylor soon enough.
I'm sure, and you can let her know that I'm on her home team, okay?
Okay, will do.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jacob, for a few minutes, and thanks for being here. It's most appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin.